Okay, welcome. Hi folks, today we're going to be having a look at some idiot called Quantum Eraser, more affectionately known by a lot of us as questionable education, sometimes quantum retard or just plain stupid idiot. We're going to have a look at a very short video of his that he did with Nathan Oakley, and I think Randy was in there too, but that doesn't really matter so much. It's mostly quantum eraser or quantum retard or questionable education. That's what we'll call him from now on, questionable education. A little video that he did presenting three short presentations, and we're going to be looking at those. So here we go. Let's transition across to the YouTube video and see what questionable education has for us. Let's go.
Just kept over talking Red Pill, and he was just bad. It was awful.
It's
All right,
rumpus.
I got three quick presentations. I'm going to make it real quick. So, did you guys hear that the spinning space monkeys think they live on a level curve? Did y'all guys?
Spinning space monkeys. Oh, so he calls spinning space monkeys, as opposed to what would we call them? Maybe we could call them Pancake World supporters. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pancake World supporters with presupposed, non-observed, reified sky dome container of unknown location, composition, and size, created by a mystical sky daddy who controls a levitating magic spotlight sun that distributes its light in ways apparently that defies any natural phenomenon. There you go, Quantum Eraser. Explain all that for me, could you? Right? Let's continue.
Hear that before?
Yeah.
Let me show you. With Clown Show Soundly's Causeway Break.
Clown show soundly. Sounds like you're trying to poison the well right from the word go there. Quantum idiot.
I
Let me
hear
just show
level
you that real
curves
quick.
are in fashion in 2019.
Yeah, you see, I think they're forgetting about the main tenet of their.
The main tenant? A tenant is a person who occupies a building, quantum questionable education. Tenet, I think you mean. Tenet, not tenant.
Space monkey religion is
Space monkey religion, as opposed to the pancake earth religion with a presupposed, non-observed, reified sky dome container with questionable location, composition, and dimension, created by a magical sky daddy who controls a levitating mystical sun that distributes its light unevenly according to any known phenomenon. Yeah, right.
that every point along the tangent from their feet drops.
No, not every point along the tangent line from our feet drops. The points themselves don't drop. What you're really referring to is this diagram here, isn't it? Where you have the observer standing here, and you have a tangent line, sure, at their feet, which extends outwards in a straight line, right? Tangent at this point here to the globe, or to the circle, to the sphere, whatever you'd like to call it. And from that tangent line, if we go perpendicularly down from that tangent line until we reach the surface of the sphere again, that distance there is known as the drop. Not quite what Quantum Eraser was trying to say. Trying because I guess he didn't pass third grade English. Let's get back to what he's saying. Let's transition back.
It is vertical drops away from them at 8 inches per mile.
Vertical drop away from them? Hang on. But aren't we standing here? And the drop is measured from the tangent line somewhere out here down to here. It's not a vertical drop away from us. It's a vertical drop from the tangent line, Quantum Eraser, to the sphere. Not away from us. retard.
Mile squared, right? That's their current religion. I've been hearing it for about 4 years now. I'm pretty sure that that's it. Could
You might be pretty sure that that's it, but you get it wrong every time.
be mistaken. So what are we going to do?
Could be mistaken. That's the first time you've admitted ever that you could be mistaken. Mostly, you are always mistaken.
On this 24-mile length bridge, right? We're going to look at the shoreline and see the elevation of the shoreline, because vertical drop means vertical drop in elevation, right?
No, wrong. Vertical drop does not mean vertical drop in elevation. Vertical drop will remind you once again. The vertical drop is the drop from the tangent line to the surface of the sphere in a direction perpendicular to the tangent line. That, quantum idiot, is the drop. All right? Don't try and pretend that the drop has anything to do with elevation at all. It doesn't. Elevation is the distance away from the surface of the sphere. Okay? So the drop has absolutely nothing to do with with elevation whatsoever. Nothing at all.
So I'm getting 3 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot. Let me go over here. Looks like 4 foot, 1 foot. You get the picture, right?
Yep, we get the picture that the elevation at the edge of the lake is going to be pretty close to zero. Okay? Because most bodies of water, especially things like oceans and seas, the surface of them is very close to the thing that we measure the elevation from, which is the geoid. Okay? So the predefined geoid is where we measure our elevation from, and that's pretty close to sea level. Okay, so any elevation that we measure close to the shoreline of a large body of water, especially one that's at sea level, is going to be a very small elevation, like you're getting 3 or 4 foot, 1 or 2 foot, maybe even 0 feet.
Understand that, right? So that's point B. Let's go to point A. Over on the northern side of the bridge, real quick, come down to the shoreline. Get over there. So let's say, hey. So let's see what we got here. We have 0, probably in the water. Now we got 1 foot, 2 foot.
0 probably in the water. So even Quantum Eraser knows that if he takes the elevation near the water, he's going to get an elevation of 0 foot. He wouldn't have said that otherwise. Okay? So he knows that when he gets an elevation of 0 feet, he's looking at the edge of the water. Okay? Kind of indicates here that he really does know what's going on, but he'd prefer to lie about it and present some other nonsense argument. Let's see what he says.
1 foot, 1 foot, 3 foot. So you guys getting the picture, right? See.
Yep, we get the picture that the elevation at the other side of the lake, because it's also at sea level, will also be a small number, very close to 0.
This side of the bridge, point A side of the bridge, and point B side of the bridge is at the same elevation.
Yeah, well done, Quantum Eraser. They are at the same elevation because they are both roughly at sea level. Sea level is very close to the surface of the geoid, which we measure elevation from, and so they will be at the same elevation.
So where is the 8 inches per mile squared drop?
Well, the 8 inches per mile squared drop, if we go back to the diagram, which you seem to not understand, the 8 inches per mile squared drop is measured from this point here, the tangent, which is well above the surface of the sphere, because it's the tangent to the person standing at this location. Okay? So it has nothing to do with elevation, because if this was your point B location down here, the elevation would be measured in this direction from that point. Okay? So 0 elevation would mean down here, a higher elevation out in this direction along here. It's got absolutely nothing to do with this distance here, which is a reference. That drop is the drop from this tangent line, which is at this point over here at point A. Okay? So you're confusing elevation and drop, thinking that they mean the same thing. They are not.
There isn't any. The Earth is flat.
No, Nathan, there isn't any because the Earth is a curve and the elevation is measured from the geoid. Therefore, at sea level, at both sides of the bridge, there will be hardly any elevation.
Is that it? Is that all the answers? Because I had a scholarly rebuttal in
Quantum Eraser, questionable education, has a scholarly rebuttal. That means that he's bound to not understand it if it's scholarly. He's going to misinterpret it and get it wrong.
Discord. You guys
Oh,
want
really?
to see that?
Yeah.
See what they got. This is what I got in Discord. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. Don't worry about the words. They don't mean too much.
Oh, really? The words don't mean too much, do they? Questionable education. What was that that Anthony Riley keeps on saying? Words, they have meanings, don't they? Why is it that you go to definitions in Merriam-Webster all the time, Quantum Eraser, if the words don't mean too much? You're always telling us what the meanings of words are, so why don't we look at the meanings of the words that are here? Why are you so eager to skip over the meanings of these words? Probably because they destroy what you're about to say.
So can everyone see this?
Clown on a bridge.
Clown on a bridge. It must be questionable education. Quantum Eraser. Perhaps it could be Nathan.
Yeah. It
Yeah, that's right.
appears that he and his husband went out
You have a husband? I didn't know you were like that, Quantum Eraser.
for a picnic in Narnia.
And you believe in Narnia too. So not only are you gay, but you also believe in fantasy worlds. Well, I guess you have to believe in a fantasy world if you believe in a pancake Earth with a presupposed, non-observed, reified sky dome container of unknown origin, construction and dimension, with a sky daddy with magical powers who levitates a mystical spotlight sun that shines its light in a manner that we can't explain with any known natural phenomena in science. Fantasyland, Quantum Eraser, you're right. Maybe you do believe in Narnia.
Right? So this is what I got. This is what it's come down to with the Globetards proof. Does anyone see a problem with their little cartoon here?
Yeah, the observations are done at the shoreline, and according to the spinning ball space monkey religion, you're at the top of the ball when you make that observation, and from your feet at the top of the ball, there is 8 inches per mile squared drop, vertical drop in all directions.
Ah, but Nathan, you forgot to say where that drop was from. That drop is from where again? Let's go back to the diagram. That drop is from the tangent line. No one in their right mind would build a bridge along that tangent line and then have the drop go like that, because that bridge would lead to nowhere, wouldn't it, Nathan? Okay, no one builds a bridge along the tangent line, which is where the drop is measured from. Idiot.
That's right. From the big clown shoes, from Clown Show's feet right here. It's from his feet. Right? I also told him I want to put 5 more bridges on this side and 5 more bridges on the other side to make it a little bit more realistic.
Questionable education wants to put 5 bridges on this side and 5 bridges on that side to make it more realistic. Tell me, quantum idiot, when in reality, anywhere on the Earth, have you ever seen 11 bridges lined up end to end? Moron. You ain't never recovering from that one, Elmer Fudd.
But you see this? The tangent goes out from his feet in a straight line.
Hold on, this might be a fair point. I've just thought of something. I'm sorry, I know you've only just shown this to us.
Ah, Nathan's just thought of something. Be very wary, folks. If Nathan has a thought, it's bound to be a stupid one.
just check on the Pontchartrain bridge to see that it's not increased in elevation at the centre, as this would imply?
Oh my god. Yep, as I thought, stupid comes out of Nathan's mouth. Has a thought, it's bound to be a stupid one, and he proves me correct. Alright, no, Nathan, this diagram does not imply that the bridge has a huge hump in the middle, right? Because if we look at that diagram, we see that this diagram is showing the elevation, which is measured from the surface, not from the tangent, is the same all the way along that bridge. The distance from the surface to the bridge, as indicated by this diagram, is fairly constant. There is no huge hump in the middle of this bridge. It is level with the surface, meaning it has a constant elevation above that surface. There is no hump in the bridge. Jokely.
Because so far you've only checked the shores, right? It might be that the bridge is actually massively higher in the middle.
It could be.
Can we have a look? It's worth checking. I mean, I've never
Can
checked.
you, can you zoom in on the clown's face?
Is that
Hold on a
clownly?
second.
Is that
Hold on a
clownly?
second, Nathan.
It
This is
looks like
important stuff
rumpus,
right here.
doesn't it?
All right, 1 second.
Clownly. Yeah, it's
Hey.
clownly.
Clownly. I like
Uh,
that.
That's as far as I can go, man.
Yeah, it's clownly.
Clownly.
It's Clownly Eraser.
Okay.
Quantum Clownly
But
Eraser.
Alright,
it is
let's
worth
get
double
serious.
checking. They might be right in this assertion. So before we make too hasty, let's just check that Pontchartrain Bridge isn't massively elevated in the middle, as this seems to be suggesting.
All right.
No, Nathan. The diagram is not suggesting that it's massively elevated in the middle. The diagram is showing that it's the same elevation all the way along. Does the elevation from the surface get bigger in that diagram? No, Nathan.
All right, let's go. How do we got to do this here? It's right in the middle, right? It should be right there.
Yeah, roughly where the clown was.
Oh well, if you zoom in on the middle, you might see Quantum Eraser.
This right here doesn't
Yeah.
look like it's elevated.
Well, it just
Yeah, you're right. Questionable education. It's not elevated. And you can even see that from this diagram.
if you hover over it, what does it say?
It doesn't say anything, Nathan. Google Earth doesn't actually say anything. It indicates numbers to you. I've never heard Google Earth say anything to me at all.
It says,
It says, why am I being operated by such an idiot?
what?
Yeah, exactly.
Information
Not
on
giving
here
me-
says that its max height is 14 feet 6 inches.
It's giving me minus 15 right here.
Minus 15?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a problem.
Let me
Like-
come back. Let's do something.
We're a bit hasty saying it's a flat Earth proof. It could be that Google's
Concave.
concave.
It's concave. It ain't moving. 15 feet the whole time. Maybe it's something with my Google Pro, man. Okay, does anyone else have this application? Can check this?
Ah, he's using Google Earth Pro to get his elevations without understanding anything about how Google Earth Pro actually works and how it gets its elevation data. Maybe we should go and have a look at some documentation on Google Earth Pro and see just where it gets its elevation data from. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to a document about Google Earth. Let's have a look here. What are we? Let's find something. Yeah, this looks good here. Let's transition this one across and see what this says about Google Earth. Okay, so what I'm in here is a document. It's the specification document that tells you basically how Google Earth works and how it gets its elevations and all of its other data and how it draws its three-dimensional objects and stuff like that. And we can see here at the bottom, right at the bottom here, it says that, note, that altitude is measured from the vertical datum, which is the WGS 84 EGM 96 geoid. So it's measuring its elevation from the geoid. Questionable education. That's how Google Earth Pro gets its elevation data. And just in case you didn't understand what the words here mean, because I know you have trouble with words questionable, right? Means you didn't pass 3rd grade English. We'll go to the diagram and see what the actual diagram says about. So here's a diagram explaining how it gets its elevation data. We can see from the diagram here that there are a couple of surfaces here. Okay, the brown surface, all right, or the dotted surface down here is the ellipsoid. The ellipsoid is basically an ellipse which is supposed to roughly represent the nature of the Earth. Okay, and then we have the blue surface, which is the geoid. The geoid is a modified ellipse which accounts for minor variations in the surface to get it to be close to the actual surface of the Earth at sea level. Okay, and then we have the terrain, which is things like mountains and dips and hills and valleys and all sorts of stuff like that. And you can see that the way that Google Earth gets its elevation data, it measures its elevation from the geoid, which is a reference datum. Okay, and you'll notice that the reference datum is curved. Okay, so again, if you're measuring 0 elevation at each end of the bridge, remember, each end of that bridge is on a different point of the geoid, which has a curve in between, quantum eraser. So if you're getting 0 elevation, it means that the line in between is a curve according to Google Earth Pro, you idiot. Okay, so don't let us hear you say that because it shows 0 elevation at each end of the bridge, that it's showing that it's flat. No, Google Earth itself is implying that if it shows 0 elevation at each end of the bridge, then it must be a curve because it gets its elevation data from a curve. Okay, let's go back to the nonsense.
Ranty's got the Google Earth
Checking
Pro.
the information on the website for Lake Pontchartrain.
No, don't worry about that. We're looking at what Google Earth says. So Google Earth says 0 at the start, and then you go to the other side and there's no drop. It's the same bloody height.
Well, there is drop, but you're not measuring drop here on Google Earth. Google Earth doesn't measure the drop, Nathan, because the drop is from the tangent at where the person is standing. Okay? Google Earth doesn't show drop, Nathan. Google Earth shows elevation, which is a different measurement than the drop, isn't it?
It's flat. That's what they're saying. That's what Google says.
No, Google Earth is not saying it's flat. It's saying that it's a curve.
But the Muppets have come back from the globe religion and said, no, the middle is massively elevated.
No, Nathan, we didn't say the middle is massively elevated. We said the middle is level. The whole bridge is level, meaning it's the same elevation all the way along that curve.
Because it's curved. So the curve's in the middle, not at each side. It's the same at each side and it's raised in the middle. That's what they're saying.
No, Nathan, we're not saying that at all. You're the one that's saying that, not us.
So obviously it's the same at each side because it's raised massively in the middle, but it doesn't seem...
No, Nathan, it's not raised massively in the middle. It's the same elevation above the surface at the middle as it is at the ends. It's level. You are the idiot that's saying that it's massively elevated.
Seem to be backing that when you check on Google Earth.
Yeah, the minus meter must be the depth of the water.
As usual, Ranty to the rescue, proving the globe. Yes, Ranty. All right, because the geoid surface might be a little bit below or above. Yeah.
The ocean floor.
Yeah, didn't Ron Hamburg come on the other day and pan the entire bridge and it was flat as fuck?
Yes, he did.
Yep. I remember.
Yeah. On this side of the argument, we're well aware that the Earth is obviously and observably flat, and Google backs us.
No, Nathan, Google doesn't back you. It actually backs the globers because Google Earth gets its elevation data from a curved surface, which is a geoid. Zero elevation at each end indicates that it is curved.
Right.
Huh. What?
Yeah, right. That all you got to say about that. Glad to know that I'm right.
Well, let's take a look, just real quick. Maybe a little education for him. That level.
Here we go with the education. I doubt whether you can educate us because I've got a feeling that you're going to either be dishonest or misuse the definition of the word level here.
Is flat. So from level, from Merriam-Webster, level to make a line or surface horizontal, make flat or level. I don't think I see them having a big problem with this. So
Yep, you're right, Quantum Eraser. We do have a big problem with that, right? Because it seems as if you don't understand how to use a dictionary, right? So let me educate you on how to use a dictionary, right? Let's go to the very site that you got that definition from, Merriam-Webster. All right, here we go. Merriam-Webster, your favourite source for the definition of words, questionable education. And here we see level, noun. All right, so level, the use of the word level as a noun. Well, what is a noun, Quantum Eraser? We're not using the word level in the sense of a noun here, are we? Okay, so a noun is a physical object. It's a thing, something you can hold, right? Something that's got physicality to it, okay? That's what a noun is. So we're not using it in the sense of a noun, are we? All right, so let's scroll down past all the definitions that define the word level as a noun because we're not using it as a noun. Here we go. Level as a verb. Now, what's a verb? Questionable education. A verb, I guess, roughly around about third grade, your teacher would have explained to you in layman's terms that a verb was what? What kind of word is a verb? A verb is an action word, a doing word, isn't it? Okay, it's what we use to describe some kind of action, like leveling out a field, to level something out. To make level? No, to level something out as a verb. And so we come to the very first definition here, to make a line or surface horizontal, make flat or level. Okay, so that's the definition that you went for. And yet in the example that we were given here, in your video, you're using verb, not using level, not as a verb, all right? It's not as an action word. You're using it to describe something. Now, let's go back to your third grade English education, quantum idiot. All right, what kind of word do we use when we want to describe something? That's right, we use an adjective, don't we, Quantum Eraser? So we'll skip past this part where it says verb, because we're not using the word level in the sense of a verb here. We're using it as an adjective. So let's go down to level under adjective, the proper usage of the word level in this example of yours. And we see that the very first definition here of the word level as an adjective is having no part higher than another, conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth's surface. You ain't never going to recover from that one, Quantum Eraser. All right? You've just been schooled in basic English. Let's go back to see what the retard's going to say next.
level synonyms: flat, flush, plane. Level.
Which really don't mean anything because we're not using it in the sense of a verb, are we? We're using it as an adjective to explain something, to describe something. And we've already seen that Merriam-Webster, your source that you chose, so you must think it's reputable, describes level as an adjective as having no part higher than another, conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth's surface. Rest my case.
Level, flat, plane, even, smooth means having a surface without bends or curves or irregularities.
No, questionable education. What it means is conforming to the curvature of the liquid parts of the Earth's surface.
And for drop, does everyone understand that drop only occurs vertically?
Apparently you don't, because here, let's go back to that good old definition, that good old diagram that shows us what drop is again. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look at what drop is. Drop, quantum eraser, is the measurement from the tangent to here. Now, in no sense, from whatever point you're looking for on the Earth's surface, is that measurement a vertical measurement. It's certainly not vertical to this point here, because vertical at this point here is out in this direction. It's certainly not vertical to the observer over here, because vertical is in this direction. So at no point is the drop a vertical measurement. You don't even understand the model you're trying to debunk, idiot. Let's go back to the derpity-derp-derp.
Yes.
That there's no horizontal drop?
Now you're just getting really stupid. Horizontal drop. You don't even understand what vertical means. How could you possibly understand what horizontal means?
It wouldn't be dropping if it was horizontal.
So height, altitude, elevation means vertical distance.
Yes. Vertical distance from what, quantum eraser? Vertical distance from the surface of the geoid. Remember, that's where Google Earth Pro gets its elevation data from the geoid. Nothing at all to do with the tangent line.
Distance. Vertical. They're just not understanding this, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you're understanding it at all either, quantum idiot.
Okay, that's the end of the second presentation. Any comments on that one?
Yep, you made a fool of yourself there. That's the only comment that I've got to say.
Oh, but I will shout out Yuya for smashing the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. It flew by without me noticing. She also super chats in the second channel. Subscribe now to Nathan Oakley, where we have the pre-show and after show. Hopefully that.
The only reason you subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 is to have your brain cells assaulted by verbal abuse and incorrect information.
That's bought John enough time to bring up his third presentation.
Yeah, the third one is someone sent this to me. And this is from Toadley Liley. His experiment. I think he's one of the knuckleheads on Jose's show. His experiment. So I'll just read the first 3 lines. Or the first 4. What is the lake test using the scientific method and approach? The lake test is a test. Really? A little bit redundant there, don't you think?
Yeah, it is a little bit redundant, but hey, doesn't matter. Still gets the information across, doesn't it? He's not incorrect. It is a test.
Follows. Following the views of scientific expedient. What is scientific expedient?
I think it's...
What, you don't understand what the word expediency or expedia means? But didn't you pass English? You're here telling us that words have meanings. Maybe you should look it up.
called word salad.
No, Nathan, it's not called word salad. It's called, accordingly to you, a word that you don't understand what the definition of it is.
Hypothesize and falsifiable evidence. So
Oh, we're going to come back to that one, aren't we? Somehow I feel as if I'm going to get another opportunity to make you look like an idiot and show you just how much English you don't understand, quantum retard.
his observation, everyone listen up. If the Earth is a globe, then why does the lake surface appear to so flat? Hypothesis. Okay, wait a second.
That's a nice
Hypothesis.
observation.
The lake is flat and there is no curvature of the Earth. So let me get rid of this. I copied this. Make it easier. Let's take a look at this. Oh, so we know who we're talking about. It's this.
Oh, never miss an opportunity to lay some ad hom on someone, hey, Quantum Eraser. Can't just address the argument. We've got to actually bring up an icon of somebody and then make fun of it, because that really adds weight to your argument, doesn't it? Moron.
Dumb animal right here. It appears he and Jesse and George
Oh, it's a
Hanna
lion.
Does he have a name?
Narnia.
Who else identified as a lion?
Do you have a
Never
name?
mind.
These guys are getting in cahoots, boy.
Yeah, well, boy, you better watch yourself, boy, because you're about to be made look like an idiot, boy.
Better watch
Aslan.
out.
Aslan from
Thermoses are
Narnia.
open systems.
Aslan.
That's who he's.
See, they all recognise who it is, Aslan from Narnia, because they're in Fantasyland themselves on their pancake world.
Closed thermoses are open systems, George Hanatuck. Boy, this thing is going to work out well, but this is who we're talking about here. All right, let's
Can't even say someone's surname properly. George Hanatchik?
check this out. So I wrote this up so we could see it better. So, Toady Moron, here, like I said, I just copied what he wrote. Let's go over this again. So, the lake test is a test, right? So, the test is a test. That's profound. As follows: following the views of scientific expediency. I don't know what that means. I've never heard that before in my life.
Okay, I've never heard that before in my life. Well, if you'd done anything in science, Quantum Eraser, like you claim to have done, you would know what scientific expediency is. Okay? Because it's pretty fundamental, pretty basic. Okay? So why don't we actually go over and have a look at what the definition of expediency is? Maybe we can educate you once again in the basic use of English. So here we are. We've got the definition of expediency, and just for you, it's from Merriam-Webster, your favourite reliable source of the meanings of words, Quantum Eraser. Okay? Definition of expediency: the quality or state of being suited to the end in view. Suitability, fitness. So when we're talking about scientific expediency, we're talking about a scientific process that's suitable for the purpose of the scientific investigation. Okay? So we're looking at something, a method or an experiment or an observation that is suitable for the ends that we have in mind. That's what expediency means. Consider yourself educated a little bit more. All right, let's go back to this.
Hypothesize. Make sure you get some spell check action going on there, brother. And
Yeah, brother. Make sure you get some spell check action going on there. You friggin' moron, Quantum Eraser. Let's just check the spelling of that, hey? You idiot. Let's go. Hypothesize. Where are we? Hypothesize. Here we go. Let's bring that up. Hypothesize, Quantum Eraser. Hypothesize. Hypothesise. Hypothesize. What is it? It's a British spelling of hypothesize. You see, you should understand, Quantum Eraser, that not everybody in the world spells everything the American way. That a significant proportion of the world spell it with an S. The spelling with an S is not a misspelling, you friggin' idiot. It's just a different way to spell it, and you, of all people, should understand that, claiming to be an intelligent person. Consider yourself schooled in the use of a dictionary, yet again, quantum idiot.
and falsifiable evidence. So let me run this by you one more time. The observation: if the Earth is a globe, then why does the lake surface appear so flat? Question mark. Any comments?
Can I just...
Yeah, I've got a comment. It's a perfectly good hypothesis. If the Earth is a globe, then why does the lake surface appear so flat? That's a perfectly legitimate question to ask after an observation. It's not necessarily a hypothesis, but it's a good question to ask.
Just answer the question. Because it's not a globe, it is in fact flat.
No. This is the observation.
Yeah, but that's not an observation.
Oh, okay. We'll go with the usual.
That's
It's not an
how-
observed phenomena.
Yeah, it's
We're
not
gonna
observed.
get to that here in a second.
What? Something being flat's not an observed phenomena? You idiot, Chokley. Of course it is.
I thought I'd leave that out there for you. So his hypothesis: the lake is flat and there is no curvature of the Earth.
Independent
Okay, that's a perfectly good hypothesis, right? He's hypothesizing that the Earth is flat and that there's no curvature.
variable, dependent variable, null hypothesis.
We're getting there. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're going to get there because we all know that Quantum Eraser has enormous difficulty identifying variables, and I can be almost guaranteed that we're going to witness something really stupid here.
Hey, let's make it quick. Asshat, you'd fail 5th grade general science and a 60 level basic reasoning course. Let's take a look at this observation. If the Earth is a globe, then why does the lake surface appear so flat? So number one, observations are not questions.
No, observations aren't questions, but hey, in the scientific method, quite frequently people start with observations, and then from those observations, they propose questions about their observations. Or it could be the other way around. You could start with a question and then go and do an observation in an attempt to answer the question. Both are quite valid scientific methods.
Number two, it's observe a natural phenomena and not observation.
What? You have to be joking. If I observe a natural phenomena, isn't that an observation? Frickin' hell. No wonder you didn't pass 3rd grade English.
Number three, why does the lake surface appear so flat is a concrete noun.
Nope. Once again, 3rd grade English. That, my friend, is a sentence. It's a group of words put together called a sentence.
Not a phenomenon.
No, not a phenomenon. It's a sentence.
Number four, the natural phenomena observed is your dependent variable. So,
What? That just sounds retarded. The natural phenomenon observed is your dependent variable? No, that's not the case at all. You haven't even defined any variables yet.
what's the dependent variable in your train wet question observation up here? I'm going to take the liberty here in a second.
Yeah, he's going to take the liberty to be stupid. Please, everybody, move your monitors back, put your facepalm protection on, because this is going to get stupid.
Figure out what it is because there's not one, but I'm going to give them one. So, hypothesis. The lake is flat and there is no curvature of the Earth. Dipshit. Scientific hypotheses are cause and effect suppositions.
Wrong. Right? Scientific hypotheses can be cause and effect suppositions, but not always. They don't have to be cause and effect suppositions. They can be correlational relationships. Okay? Let's just go and explore the word hypothesis and what a hypothesis is a little bit more. Okay? So let's bring up some information on hypotheses. Let's explore this a little bit more to try and get a better understanding of what a hypothesis actually is. Okay? So one thing we're going to go with here, let's transition this one across. Let's have a look at this one here. Okay? Maybe let me make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to actually read here. Okay? We're going to be picking on a certain bit about this. Hypothesis basics. Let's just go through this a little bit. A hypothesis is a suggested solution for an unexplained occurrence that does not fit into current accepted scientific theory. That's a key point there, all right? That a hypothesis is something that we presuppose, right? So all hypotheses are presuppositions. They have to be by their very nature because they don't fit in with current scientific theory, okay? The basic idea of a hypothesis is that there is no predetermined outcome, okay? But the key bit that I want you to focus on here is the bit where it says that your hypothesis, it has to be something that can be supported or refuted through carefully refuted experiment or observation. All right? So observations quantum idiot, are perfectly valid parts of the scientific method. You do not have to always do an experiment. An observation in certain cases is quite good enough. Okay, so let's go on to another thing about hypothesis. A hypothesis is an idea or exposition or proposition that can be tested by observations or experiments. Here's another source that tells us that it can be observations or experiments. It doesn't have to be experimental only, you retard. Okay, let's go on a little bit further even here. Okay, this one here. A hypothesis specifies a testable relationship between variables. Thus, a hypothesis has three important elements: the independent variable, the dependent variable, and the type of relationship between them. That's something you forget to mention all the time. Is it because you don't know about it, quantum idiot? Skip a little bit here. Yeah, you're welcome to read it because it's up on screen. But this is the part that I really want you to witness. You should know that hypotheses are not always about causal relationships. One could also have correlational hypotheses, which merely predict that two variables change in relation to each other, but they do not assume that a change in one causes the change in the other. So you are wrong, Quantum Eraser. All hypotheses are not causal in cause and effect relationships. Some are correlational relationships. You just get it wrong every single time.
What's the dependent variable again? I'll tell you what, let's use your train wreck question observation. Lake surface appears so flat. All right.
Remember that, folks, that he was the one that chose this as the dependent variable. Quantum Eraser himself, Quantum Retard, was the one that chose that as the dependent variable. He's now going to try to attribute that choice to Toady.
Right, we're going to use this as the dependent variable because it's the only one that's semi-coherent, even though it's not a dependent variable. We got to use something. Number 3, what's the independent variable? That is the cause of your lake surface appear so flat train question observation dependent variable. There is no curvature of the or Earth, or is there some combination thereof? So let's take a look at this. So is causes lake surface appear so flat?
Oh my God. Even I couldn't have anticipated this level of stupidity. What quantum idiot, what questionable education here has done, is take each individual word from the statement that he himself said was the dependent or independent variable, and he's now going to look at each one of those words individually and see if it could possibly be the cause of something. The stupidity here dumbfounds me. Right? This is just so stupid that it's not even wrong.
Is that the one? No causes lake surface appear so flat? Let's combine them. No curvature causes lake surface appear so flat. Of causes lake surface appear so flat. The causes lake surface appear so flat.
Continues to
or
make himself
Earth
look
causes
stupid.
lake surface appear so flat. Which one of these?
This is incoherent
take
nonsense.
this.
Yeah, you're right, Nathan. That is incoherent nonsense. And you know why? Because it came from Quantum Eraser.
Again?
Yeah, you can't pull one out. It's incoherent nonsense that doesn't have one, so you're not going to pull out an independent or a dependent variable out of this completely incoherent nonsense. But I applaud your attempt.
You applaud his attempt? You're going to support him, even though he's showing himself to be entirely stupid?
Yeah, I had to try something. So an easy
Well, maybe you could have tried something more scientific, Quantum Eraser. You could have actually tried to identify a real dependent variable, something that could be measured rather than a sentence of words.
way to tell, other than just the slap in the face incoherency, is
I'm sorry, but the slap in the face incoherency is coming from you right now.
to formulate the null. So here's the null for each of these independent variables.
No, quantum eraser. Those aren't independent variables. You didn't even look for a valid independent variable. Remember, a variable is something that can be changed. You can't assign these words as an independent variable in this example. You idiot.
Does not cause lake surface appear so flat?
Go on, go on. Make
No,
yourself look
does not
stupid.
cause lake surface appear so flat. No curvature does not cause lake surface appear so flat. Of does not cause lake surface appear so flat. The does not cause lake surface appear so flat. Or
Oh my
Earth
God.
does not cause lake surface appear so flat. Please, we need to hear this. We need to get this ironed out before you do your test. And for the last one, and this is what I was talking about when I was priming this with Arwen. I was just screwing around yesterday and jumped in. I seen Arwen's mug on there, so I just jumped in along
What was that? Let's just go back and hear that again.
with yesterday when I was priming this with Arwen. I was just screwing around yesterday and jumped in. I seen Arwen's mug on there.
I see Narwin's mug on there. Now that's great English for someone who picks on somebody else's definition of words and spelling of words, isn't it? I see Narwin's mug on there. Shouldn't it have been I saw or I have seen? Oh, Jesus. You obviously didn't pass third grade English, did you, Quantum Eraser?
So I just jumped in along with Toadies. This is what Toady had to say. He's talking about fossils and walking along the beach. So, Toady, you walk up the beach and you see the very basic creatures at the bottom, and you walk up a bit and there is more advanced creatures. Then there is nothing for a few layers. Then there's more advanced creatures, and then pseudo dinosaurs. I'd like to know what that is, and fish. But as you walk through those layers, you can see that those layers were different elements of time. Really? So rock layers are clock?
Yep, that's right, Quantum Eraser. Rock layers can be a form of a clock. All right? Obviously, it won't measure time in seconds. It'll measure time in eons. Okay? Because the implication is that one rock layer gets deposited on top of another rock layer, which then has another rock layer deposited on top of it, which then has another rock layer deposited on top of it. So yes, rock layers being deposited sequentially are kind of like a time record, aren't they? Unless you're suggesting that something completely different happens, could you perhaps be suggesting that a rock layer gets deposited and then another rock layer will get deposited underneath that one, and then maybe one in between those two rock layers will get deposited next? Moron. Yes, the rock layers can be seen as a time sequence, and therefore a crude form of a clock.
Clown show. You see this?
Clown show. He's referring to himself again.
You see all this that you're mindlessly parroting?
Yeah, you're mindlessly parroting. Yeah, you're going to mindlessly parrot something now, aren't you?
Tried to pull the wool over everyone's eyes?
We don't need to pull the wool over your eyes, Quantum Eraser. You've already done that yourself.
This belly laugher is a formal logical fallacy.
Oh, here we go. A formal logical fallacy. When was something ever proven or disproven or verified in science from a formal logical fallacy?
Denying the antecedent. Follow. If P, then Q. Not P, therefore not Q.
But that's not the argument that he used. That's not the essence of the example that he was using, is it, Quantum Eraser? I'm sure you're going to go ahead anyway and make yourself look like a fool.
So let's just add it to your little train wreck above. If they are buried together, P, then they both existed together, Q. They're not buried together, not P. Therefore, they didn't exist together. Therefore, not Q. See,
Misuse of logic here. Because all Toady was saying is that if they're buried together, yes, they existed together. He did not make any claim whatsoever that if they weren't buried together, then they didn't exist together. All right? But there is some implication you can draw from this, that if you observe the same rock layer anywhere in the world, and we can identify that the rock layers are the same rock layer or the same layer, and we never ever find a certain fossil in that rock layer, we can kind of imply that that fossil didn't exist at that time. Okay?
See, this is what you get for Parrot and Wiki. So, Toady, in conclusion, you're a certifiable Wiki Discovery Channel parroting pretender clown AAA retard. Thanks for your...
And you, Quantum Eraser, are an ad homing, science-denying idiot.
Here, have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day, Quantum Eraser. I'm going to suggest that you have a look at a couple of books, Quantum Eraser, because we have here some books that we could maybe recommend that you might like to read. What do we got here? What's this? Here's one. Here's one for you, Quantum Eraser. Basic Science. Perhaps you could bone up on your basic science. What else have we got here? It's another book. Oh yeah, this one. This would be a good one. Algebra and Geometry. Because anyone that tries to subtract a number from another number and ends up with a bigger number needs to do some basic mathematics, don't they? Oh, what was that? I'm doing fractions here. What have fractions got to do with division, says Quantum Eraser. And yet a fraction is literally one number divided by another. Oh my God. What's this book? Thinking in Numbers. Oh, that'd be a good book for Quantum Eraser, wouldn't it? Thinking in Numbers. Maybe he could learn that when you subtract 10 to the minus 16 from 1, you get a number that is still very close to 1. And maybe he could understand that the word difference in maths means subtract. That when I find a difference in mathematics, it means subtract one thing from another. And when I subtract 10 to the minus 16 from 1, I get something that's still very close to 1. Idiot, Quantum Eraser. What else? Here's another book Quantum Eraser could perhaps get some knowledge from. Thermodynamics, because he doesn't seem to understand what the laws of thermodynamics actually are. One would, however, suspect that Quantum Eraser has been reading this book maybe a little bit too much. The great big book of magic. Because for a flat earth to exist, you have to believe in magic. That's all I've got to say for today, so goodbye everyone. And just remember that if you ever watch any of Quantum Eraser's videos, you're bound to come up against stupidity.